Well, good morning, guys. Welcome to another edition of Living the Amazing Life podcast. I'm Coach Tim Harrell, and I have my special guest with me again today, Despina Marie Cuffee. And I pray, guys, that you guys really enjoyed the podcast last week. If you didn't, you need to go back and listen and view the replay on our podcast from last week. I'm telling you, you will be tremendously blessed. And so we're excited about having her again on the show with us. We want to, again, guys, always, I don't want to forget this. Make sure you share it. Share it with your friends, your family, co-workers, church members. Let them know that Living the Amazing Life is the #1 podcast in the world. All right.
Yes.
I'm prophetically speaking that.
Amen.
All right. So again, Despi, it's good to have you.
Thank you. Thank you
Good
for
to
having
have
me
you.
back.
And on last week, we kind of ended talking about the new book that you are about to release to
Yes.
the world.
Yes.
And
yes.
I just want to give you some time just to kind of talk about some of the things that we can expect from this great book.
Thank you again for having me here. It's always enjoyable to be in your presence. You and LaRose, you're great friends of ours. But to be here with your podcast,
Yes.
this is definitely living the amazing life.
And this is an honor to have a celebrity on the show.
You were talking about sharing. I just want to also encourage you to share this with your enemies.
Yes, please.
Yes, or people that are perceived enemies, because really you don't, people, anyway. Yeah, share it with everybody.
Everybody.
But
Everybody.
Thank you so much again for welcoming me and allowing me to talk about the book that will be released. We're probably now with this podcast this week, we're about 5 weeks away.
Okay.
And within another 2 to 3 weeks, you'll start seeing a pre-order link where you can go and get that at Despico Destiny Centers, where we'll be sending that from, so you can let us know that you're interested. But the name of the book is Fallen Soldiers, the Ruination of the Modern Day Church. Apostle Tim, for as long as I have known you, you have always been a man of integrity.
Oh, I work hard. I work hard to make sure that I maintain that type of reputation as a man who's not perfect, but I'm not going to disqualify myself when it comes to leadership or leading the Lord's church.
Yeah, but I love one of the chapters in your book. It talks about a testimony of integrity, but it doesn't leave out the person you were BC, before Christ. Right. I love the fact that you talk about who you were, because now it makes who you are even more believable. And it also lets other people know that you can have a change. You can change.
Amen.
You can be transformed. But the thing is that it has to happen with the renewing of your mind.
Yeah.
I love that scripture in Romans 12:1-2, where it talks about being transformed by the renewing of your mind. That word transformation or transform or renew, it means to renovate.
Wow.
Anakanu, as my father's Greek. Anakanu, it means to renovate. It means to tear down, to build up. And one of the things that I talk about in the book is that whole part of our lives that we forget to tear down the old so that we can have that transformation, we can have that change, and then that metamorphosis. But there's so much happening in the world today, and not just today. I just think that it's more common knowledge now. That we're seeing more moral failure,
especially with social media and technology.
Yeah.
Of course, it's been happening, but now we're really exposed to it because of the social media platforms. And I'm telling you, if you do something, it could boom in a matter of seconds. Yeah. The whole world can know about it.
And the interesting thing is that we're all flawed, right? We're all flawed beings. Yes. We're not perfect. There are going to be times, when you look back over your life, you go, darn, that was so dumb. Why did I do that? But there's a difference between falling and fallen, right? So over the course of life, sometimes we're introduced to things that we can feel ourselves falling. And it's at that moment that you need to catch yourself, because once you've had that fatal attack and you fall in, it's so much harder to get up.
Wow.
And so unfortunately today we're seeing not just in the church, but a fallen state of man in the world. Of course, I'm speaking from the ruination of the modern day church and some of the things that we can do. You know, we need to catch it before it happens. Like we need to be able to love on people enough to tell them the truth.
Right.
And that's what's missing. You know, we're not being honest with people. Now, that doesn't mean that you can just go at it. Anyone can just go at it. You need to make sure that you're at a place where you have that type of relationship with a leader, or that you've been given that grace with a leader, because you just can't go and make accusations against someone without 2 or 3 witnesses. But we see it today, and it's due to moral failure. We've got, you know, I love the concept that God's given me with the fallen soldiers, right? When you come into the military, you go through the PT, you go through the training, boot camp, all of your, you know, right? You're a former soldier. You go through an entire process. That's not happening today. People are waking up ministers, and they go to sleep and they wake up and they're bishops, you know?
I mean, I see that. I really see that.
Yeah. And unfortunately, because they've not had that proving ground, when trials and tests come, or when a moral attack comes, they're not able to pass the test. And then they don't have anyone to be around them, because they kind of fast track themselves to that place, or someone fast tracked them with an ulterior motive to that place. And so they don't have people around them that can help bring them back to a state of recovery.
Wow. That is so good. That is so good, because now, you know, me being a leadership person, I believe in leadership training. I believe in taking a person through a process to see if they're proven. You know, I don't believe. I believe that until you complete levels of ministry, just like I believe it was Saul and Barnabas who fulfilled their ministries, and then they went to the church of Antioch. And then they laid hands on them for a higher calling.
Yes.
I think a lot of people are skipping the part of the process of fulfilling your ministry and going directly and straight into the higher calling.
Yeah. And you know, in that skip, you got a lot of bad conduct discharges. I call them the BCDs. A bad conduct discharge, and they don't even know they've been released.
Wow.
But God has released them, and there's nobody around them to give them the honest truth that, hey, this conduct is not good.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's because in order to get away with bad conduct, you've got to surround yourself with bad company.
and you know, and that is so, I mean, and I hate to be, because when you said that, I'm thinking about people that I have been privy to know what happened to them.
Yeah.
And when I examined the situation, you could see that. You could see the bad company around them.
Exactly.
The bad associations and the same like characteristics. And, you know, you see all of that.
Yeah. Evil associations corrupt good manners. You could start out with good motives, but it's who you place around you. You know, that, you know, people look at the person that's on the platform, or the person that's on the forefront. That person is, the people around that person are as crucial to that person's success as what they've been gifted to do.
Yes.
I mean, look at Saul, King Saul. He had the people around him pressuring him, even though he knew he was supposed to wait. He was supposed to be still. And because he wanted to please the people, the company around him pushed him and pushed him and pushed him until he caused himself to be disqualified.
Wow.
And so we have so many people. And you know what another amazing thing is that we have so many people who are qualified when they start, but they become disqualified during the process because of, you know, bad company.
Yeah.
Bad company.
I could just think about even when I started out in ministry, you know, my intentions were great, you know, and of course I didn't do anything to disqualify myself, but because I was around people who, was driven by the mega ministry.
The lights, camera, action.
Yes. So I wanted that. That. And it cost me dearly. It taxed the church.
Right.
You know, and it was just some bad decisions I made financially in the church that really, really hurt us. And John Maxwell says, in the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership, law number 11 talks about the inner circle.
Yes, so crucial.
And he says, those who are around you will determine how far you go.
I believe that. I believe that, because people see us on the forefront, but they don't understand the support team that has helped us to get to where we are today. And I always thank God and praise God for the team that he's placed around me. Because if you've got a platoon of people and you've got one person with a plague, hello, you're going to have walking zombies. Walking corpses is one of the chapters in the book.
I saw that.
Walking corpses, people who think they're alive, but they're walking dead.
Wow.
And it's affecting you. And a lot of times you don't even know because you have good motives and you're out there. There's so many ways that, things can happen within your organization or your structure that can cause things to fall apart. It may not even be you. You could have great intent. You could be moving in the right direction, but you've got some walking corpses on your team that are like inside
so I
killing.
gotta stop you right there. I gotta go. Lord have mercy. I can't take what now, and I know this is working backwards.
Oh, that's okay.
What inspired you to write this book?
I woke up I've seen a lot, especially being a woman in ministry. For a lot of years, over 30 years. And before I was married, I encountered, and I hate to say this, I don't want it to seem negative, but I encountered a lot of brethren who were, I encountered that throughout my ministry. And, it's kind of like they want you to pay to play. And I've never been that way. Pay to play.
Pay to play. Oh, wow.
I don't know what that price was because I didn't pay to play. But I've seen so much behind the closed doors. I've seen more, a lack of moral integrity with financial things, having been in rooms, not associations, but having been in rooms. Yeah. And so just over the course of years of seeing that, and then this recent epic or episode of events happening in Texas, where we're seeing a lot of fallen soldiers having to come clean and, and I just wish that there were more people around them that could have helped them because you see yourself when you're falling down, and others around you can see when you're falling down. Like, if my people around me, they can tell by my face, oh, something's wrong with you today. What's wrong with you today? And they immediately start praying for me and helping me to get back in the right mindset. And so that's what inspired me. It was just one final episode and it pricked my spirit. And let me tell you, brother, I sat down and I began to pray and I said, God, what's going on? Immediately. Whenever God gives me something divinely, I'm never challenged with it. My daughter, my spiritual daughter, Elder Colleen Suggs, she can tell you, within a couple of hours, I said, look, this is what God has given me. Like maybe 2 hours. And he had outlined the whole book, the whole process, and just downloaded everything. And so I knew that this hour was quintessential for me to release this book and also the training manual, the workbook we talked about, so that it can help leaders. You have leaders. You need your leaders to help you. Leaders need leaders, right? We need people around us that can see us. They walk with us. They know our patterns. They know when we're going through. They know when we're, frail. They know when we're sad. They know us. They do. And so they are valuable to helping us stay on the right path.
Yes. What is that thing that you are called to do? What is that vision you have of your life? What dreams do you have that are still ahead of you? What were you born to do? And what is your purpose? What is the purpose for your life? You need to be able to answer that, because until you really know your purpose, your life mission, your life purpose, your life vision, you're going to struggle. You're going to find yourself in a cycle. You're going to find yourself in a civil, with that war, tug of war, going back and forth. Why? Because you don't know who you are. the reason why I'm so aggressive in my business, aggressive in my ministry, because I know who I am. There was a time that I didn't know who I was. And I found myself in a place of stagnation and a place of just, going around and around. But once I got a vision or a revelation of who I am and begin to write it down on paper, see, my mission, if you just come to ask me, Tim Harrell, what is your mission? My mission is to help others succeed in life. That is my mission.
And so
I mean, I'm just listening to you, you're not even scratching the surface with this book.
Yeah.
But I mean, you guys can really sense and discern, and even just what Despy just shared with us concerning her book. This is one of those books that are very timely. I believe that it's God ordained and is appropriate for this season of the body of Christ. And I believe with the workbook and being able to maybe go to different organizations and it don't necessarily be churches, it could be a business or anything like that.
Because it happens everywhere.
Right. Any type of governmental institution.
Exactly.
And being able to share with people, because the ultimate goal is to bring healing.
Yes. Restoration. Here's the things that he gave me, right? This is the ultimate goal, right? We need to relent and repent.
Okay.
Right? We need to just say, okay, I let go. It's me. It's okay.
Right.
It's not okay to stay down. But if you fell down, get back up, right? So it's okay to say, you know what, I fell down. And then we need to have that recovery. We need to have that recovery and that reviving, the renewing of our purpose and the restoration, right? And so many people need that, and they need to be okay.
Yes.
They need to know, because we're not perfect. Right. We're fallen. We
But
are fallen in creation, right?
But they got to be willing to go through the process.
Got to be willing to go through the process. And what I've found is that there's so many hybrid leaders. They really want it, but they have to keep doing what the people want. Like they want change, but the people are pulling on them for something. So now they have this two-faced leader. Like I have to be, I know that I'm hurting, I'm in pain, and I need change, but I've got to be this for the people because this is what they expect. And if I don't, then they're going to walk away.
Wow.
So we've got hybrid leaders. We got people living dual lives.
Wow.
And a lot of what's been happening with this recent issue, not just in Texas, but just all over, is that there's so many leaders who were living dual lives. They were living dual lives. And maybe, some did get tired and say, you know what? I had moral failure. I need to step down. And they set themselves down. But then there were others, they had to be exposed. Like if you get to the place where you're exposed and that's God saying, hey, I'm even tired of it. You got to get it together.
Or forced to confess.
Yeah. Because it's really godly sorrow that leads to the change or leads to the repentance.
Wow.
It's not until you are sad that you've hurt your creator that you really begin to seek change and go into the spiritual hospital or, the recovery or whatever it is that you're dealing with, because not all of it is spiritual.
Yeah.
I talked about that in the last episode where we're talking about our nature. And then there's some mental aspects of it. We just need to understand that we are a triune or tripartite being.
Right.
We've got our soul, we've got our spirit, and we've got our body. And all of that needs to be whole. And so I tell people the best thing that I could have ever done next to just accepting, God into my life was going to see a traumatologist. Yeah, I went to see a therapist, and I was recommended. I was like, "Oh, there's nothing wrong with me." And my doctor said, "No, I really think you should see a traumatologist." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, well, you can make the appointment." And I get in the appointment, and she says, "Tell me more about yourself." And I said, "Oh," and she said, "Tell me about your mother." And I didn't know that I was holding all of that in.
Wow.
And so we really set ourselves up for a fall when we don't address the scrapes we've had in life.
Wow. That is, oh my God. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's so important when we compartmentalize different places in our lives, and we put on that mask and just like you were saying, the hybrid leader, you're going through, but you got to be this for the people. and different things like that. So you're really a double-minded man.
You are.
You're a man with two souls. You're operating this way in this environment. You're operating another way in another environment, and
no part of you gets to be real.
Right.
It's all pseudo.
Wow.
No part of you is real, and at some point, there's just that that divine connection with God. You lose it because you've lost yourself.
Wow.
So you don't really know who you are. And there's so many walking corpses. There's so many dead men walking.
So the people that are following a dead corpse. Wow. And I don't know what to say.
It's so deep. It's so deep. And, and unfortunately, there's this whole, one of the chapters in the book, I talk about the conversion aversion. Like we avert being converted. We'll, have the feel good message. We'll have the motivational speech. A lot of motivational speakers, places, but no, we want people to feel good, but we don't want people to just feel good. We want them to be good. And that's what I want to get down to the core of who we are, I find that a lot of people that I counsel, they have become expert tree trimmers, right? They trim the branch, right? They trim the tree, but they don't take up the root. So you don't clip the fruit, you take up the root. To address the root.
There's a phrase that you use. It was a message that you preach dealing with the root. What was that?
Oh, I don't know. I've been preaching for over 30 years, but the thing I've always said, don't trim the fruit. Trim the root. Take up the roots. Don't, go back to the root of what is causing you to behave this way. Was there some type of traumatic? I had so many traumatic things happen in my childhood, and so we can't say, well, I did it because of this or I did it because of that. I could have easily chosen to take that character nature that was, violated against me of those different individuals and could have done that. And yes, a lot of times it does happen, right? But you have to really take an introspective look at yourself and say, that's not who I am. Though that happened to me, that's not who I am.
So you're not a product of your environment.
I'm not a product. I'm not. Now it helps you to get out of that environment because an environment can influence you, but you have to make choices. I was in bad environments all of my young adulthood and childhood, but you get to choose. Is this what I want or do I want this amazing life?
And so what about those who are still walking in playing the blame game and not moving forward because they're blaming everybody else, for the reason they are today or their behavior today or who they are today. They're blaming everybody else for that.
The best, and I'm not a revenge person, but I hear people say the best form of revenge is to become who you were created to be and not who they tried to mold you into.
That is so good.
Yeah. So instead of blaming, if this hadn't happened or if we had money, brother, listen, coach, I do things all the time without money. And you know what? Money follows me because I'm brave.
Yeah.
I have faith.
That's good. That's good.
People say, oh, Lord, here she goes again. But then I set an example for those who are following behind me that you can accomplish this too.
Yeah.
Don't, and I told my daughter when she went to school, she wanted to go to this school. And I was like, okay, well, that's what she wants to go to, when they're young, she wanted to go to be a professional photographer. I'm like, oh my God, why not go for psychology? But anyway, she wanted to go there and she graduated young and she was going to school. I think she was 16, going to college. And she's like, but mommy, what are we going to do? I said, we're going to do things like money doesn't matter.
Wow. Because
when you have a divine creator that's giving you a purpose, then he's going to cause money to follow your purpose.
He will.
And so, I don't know how we got there, but that was good. I don't know how we got there, but, I see so many people. And then that's another one of the pressures, people are pressured by money.
Yeah.
And if that's what we're talking about, moral integrity.
Yeah.
And if morally you're not, haven't addressed some of the things that you've experienced in your childhood or with wrong associations or whatever, if you haven't addressed those things, you're more likely to fall into the immoral behaviors.
So talking about it, being transparent about it, sharing it, does that help?
Absolutely. We always talk about the effectual fervent prayer of the righteous availeth much. It does. But it says confess your faults to one another. Yeah. Pray for one another. And then the effectual fervent prayer of the righteous will. So you need to have someone that you can go to and say, you know what? I feel this, every now and then there's something inside of me in my mind. There's something I don't feel right. I just need you. I've got a team of intercessors, and I go to them. I say, hey, if I've got something going on in my family or with my children or whatever, the enemy knows that special way to attack you, to kind of counter attack you, right? And so he uses outside things so that he can get you vulnerable, and then he'll come from a different route. He'll come from a different vein. It's all, I've learned his tactics, right? And so you got to have people around you, like even how we are. We're accountability to each other. Right. Even with decisions, if I don't feel like I made just the right decision, or if I was too harsh, or, I'll come to you guys, or I'll come to someone and I'll say, this is what happened and this is what I had to do. Was it too much? Right. You have. And you'll give me you'll give me the word, and you'll say, no, this is what, Despy, this is what it says, and, you need people around you.
You really do.
You really do.
You really do. And because one of the things that I've learned in this season of my life is to guard my purpose. And where there's a multitude of counseling, and I learned this from Franco on our last podcast, a couple podcasts ago, Franco Charles. He says, when there's a multitude of counseling around you, I know the verse says it's safety, but really you're guarding your purpose.
You're guarding, yes.
Yeah, and so you want people around you, not just to add value to you or be able to do something for you, but you want people around you who sees your purpose and be willing to do whatever it takes to make sure you fulfill that purpose.
Go even further, because we get revelation off each other. You're guarding your garden.
Ooh,
your creation.
Ooh, your
you are guarding creation, who God created you to be.
Wow.
And why wouldn't God honor you?
Right.
Why wouldn't
he? So good.
You are guarding what he created. You are guarding the garden. When he put him in the garden, he told him, till the garden, take care of the garden, do this, do that. And somehow the enemy crept in, as it is with all, these scenarios where we're having fallen soldiers, and they didn't guard the creation, what God placed within them.
Wow.
Oh, I might have to jot that down in the book.
I'm going to add, and we're about to close, I'm going to add a little something to that. Because when God put him in the garden, he put him in his domain. So he was given instructions to name all the animals.
Yes.
But the Bible never said that he went to the name the animals university. He just knew how to name the animals.
Instinctively, it was inside of him.
It was inside of him.
So it's inside of us.
It's inside of us.
So the ability to live the amazing life is already inside of us.
It's already inside of us.
The ability to remain a strong soldier is already inside of you. God didn't create us and say, I hope you make it. No, he created us and he gave us the answers how to make it. It's like how you take the test and you got the cheat sheet? We got the cheat sheet.
You got the cheat sheet.
You got the cheat sheet.
Oh my God, this has been so good. This has been so good. And I know you guys have enjoyed Despina Marie Cuffee. I'm about to call her apostle. She's an apostle in the Lord's church.
I'm a coach.
She's a coach too.
I'm just a coach.
She's a coach. She's a consultant. She's an author. She's a wife. She's a mother, a grandmother.
Oh yeah, I'm a great grandmother now.
Oh, great grandmother. Oh my God. She's a spiritual mother. I'm telling you. It's so good to have you on the podcast today. This has been a blessing to me, and I pray that it's been a blessing to you as well. And I know you receive all kind of value from this, and I want you to stay tuned to the book, her new book that's coming out. It's called The Fallen
Soldier,
the
Ruination of the Modern Day Church. And so go now to my website.
She's so deep, y'all.
Hey, I take no credit for it. I'm a good listener.
Right.
I'm an active listener when God speaks. So
Right.
go to the website now, so you can be, save it in your bookmark, so you can be watching for the release of it. And of course, you'll see us on social media, Despina Marie. You'll see. Just Google Despina Marie,
Right.
okay, and
Yeah.
then you'll be abreast of what's going on. But it's
Wow.
DespicoDestinyCenter.com.
Okay. And we'll have that information on the screen as well for you, so you can make sure you get that website correct. And because we want you to go to the website, because I'm telling you, when this book is released, when she dropped this book, oh my God, the enemy, he definitely ain't gonna like this one. I'm telling you.
It's okay. God's getting the glory.
Yeah, God's getting the glory. And a lot of us who are struggling, especially
We'll
in
get the
leadership,
help.
they're struggling in areas of moral failure. This book is designed to help you and to help those that are around you, to hold you accountable.
Yes.
And so, again, thank you, Despina.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bishop, thank you for allowing your wife to be on the podcast with me. And hopefully we'll get a chance to fellowship soon. And again, guys, share this podcast. There's some people you know that need to hear this. Please share it with your friends and family, and be a blessing to them. Be others driven with the podcast, okay?
Yes,
be others driven,
that's a
okay?
good
All right. And always, as always, if you need help, you're stuck, you can't move forward in your purpose, I want you to get in contact with me, connect with me, and get the free 60-minute coaching session with Coach Tim Harrell. I can help you.
Yes.
I can help you.
Can't go wrong.
And you don't, and you definitely want to take advantage of that. And so
You know what I told you before we go, right?
What's that?
If you want to get a life, get a coach. Get a life coach.
Yeah. And you know what? And when I first heard the term life coach, I was like, oh yeah, all right. I don't need a coach. And I ended up getting a coach. I had a coach for a year and a half.
Wow.
And it helped me tremendously.
Yeah.
So get a coach, get a mentor. All right. All right, guys. Love y'all. And y'all know what time it is. I want everybody to put your hand on yourself. Put your hand on yourself and say to yourself, it's time for me
For me.
to live the amazing life. God bless you guys.